It's very much like a rebirth into a new life where the ego is not the real prize. And notice this for a moment. And you can see it play out now, and you can see it play out back then, where the assumption before was that the real prize in this life was all about the ego, was all about what you would get. It was all about how other people saw you. It was all about you not looking dumb. Do you see this? It was all about what can the ego get? Whether it was the search for possessions or the search for a title, these are all a search to be seen, and it's the ego that wants to be seen. It's a form of validation. And so that was the old life, that the whole agenda here was to spend my time trying to be seen, trying to be validated. And you wake up and you realize, oh my God, that's irrelevant. Especially when you see in some regard that it's all love and it's only about love, you see that that's what it's about. It's not about this me character at all. And furthermore, to say, in the spirit of all things pointing back to the truth, in the same way that we can say that it's all about love, we could say that it's all about God. And it's effectively saying the same thing. But of course, in our human conditioning, we can have weird associations with different words. So sometimes when somebody hears the word God, it reminds them of an experience that was unpleasant. Therefore, they interpret the word unpleasantly. But beyond all the words, it's just pointing to the same thing. And so throughout this time, rather than some sort of caution that I might have to choose the impossible right words, I'm probably going to use these words a lot, God and love. And hopefully we can see that they are just pointing to a profound depth of unity in all things. Now, there's something that we don't often anticipate after awakening, and it might still even be unnoticed. But as much as we see that the ego was a problem before awakening, we were just unaware of it. You're in for a whole nother ride after awakening with the ego. Because remember, the ego didn't die. It's still there. In fact, it's just an integral part of the human experience. Just like when playing a game, you have to have a piece to play the game. Even though the game isn't real, it doesn't mean anything. You still have to have a piece to represent your character, represent you. And so that's an ego. So even after awakening, it's still there. But the new ride that you go on is one where the ego has been exposed, and now your attention is turning towards what's true, and this will scare the shit out of your ego. And so if you think it was a problem before, hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe not in the way that you might expect, but I would say in even a more painful way. Because it's true, after flavors of awakening, there's a lot that might calm down in your life as it relates to ego activity. However, when you start to recognize that your life isn't about you, please remember that that's how the ego survives, is making everything about you. which also means it wants to desperately protect you, which is to protect the image of yourself. And so in the realm of the truth, or in the realm of freedom, in the realm of radical honesty, it's a very dangerous place for the ego. And so what you will encounter are either very obvious or very subtle forms of resistance. Let's explore a little bit what that looks like after awakening. Life after awakening, when shit gets real. You know, there's something that is so common, and there's no judgment in it, and there's no blame in it. It's just often what happens. I mean, imagine this. Imagine you go up to heaven. You're sitting on a cloud. There's no suffering. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to do. And there's just love there. Do you really want to go back down to planet Earth and live your human life? Right? You look back down there and you remember the struggles, you remember all the judgment, you remember the difficult conversations, you remember the struggle to pay your bills. You remember what it's like to be human. Of course you don't. Through an innocent misunderstanding, what we do is we fall back on this declaration that the real prize is that space of awakening where you are sitting on the cloud in heaven. We can call it a particular state of being. Because it was so lovely, because it was so beautiful, because it was so effortless, we assume that that's the prize, and so we need to do everything we can to get back there. There must be a way. And just like any good marketing campaign, it has a sales pitch to sell you what you think you want, which is if you can just do the right thing, if you can just have the right spiritual practice, then one day you'll be able to get back the awakening experience and it will never leave again. But let me put it into perspective. The awakening experience that was the opening of the door, it allowed you to see something beautiful and profound beyond the human experience. In a way, it's like it was showing you where you came from. And at the same time, you got to go back because you're having a human experience. And there's all sorts of stories that could talk about this, different words we could tie together. Let me illustrate it this way. You're here on planet Earth as a human being, and you think you're just that, a separate human being struggling to survive. Then you have this awakening experience, and you realize that you're a spiritual being, you're a soul, and you're not from this place at all. And the awakening experience kind of takes you home for a second and shows you where you're really from. But yet you still have to go back and complete your mission, which is to have a human experience. But this is part of the resistance I was talking about. Because the ego does not want you to go back and have a human experience, now seeing what you've seen. Because it's a dangerous place for the ego. And so the ego would rather adopt a new identity. Let's just call it a spiritual identity, where now your whole life mission is to get back to that space of awakening and just stay there and be in bliss all the time. Don't need to be responsible. You don't need to do what everyone else is doing. You can just sit in a cave and meditate and hope that the state of being you crave comes back. And this has been so profound for me to see. It's almost like the realization of, oh, yes, I see beyond the veil. I see what's going on under the surface, and it's only love. It's all just God. Yet, I'm still here having a human experience. Intentionally so. Because also what you see in heaven is that everything is on purpose. There's no mistake. So me being here as a human being is not a mistake. Even though it can feel like that, right? When you go to heaven and you have that experience of blissed out love, it can seem like planet Earth is a mistake. Being human is just wrong. But it's not at all. It's very much on purpose.